Now, people get misguided in maybe it's the makeup or the cowboy hat. I never know. Maybe it was my dress this week. But I'm always right. Now, it might not be one of those things. I play the long game. So it might not be one of those things where I say it and next week it comes true. It might take a couple years. So I want to play you guys a little flashback of there was a story that came out, and my good friend Lisa Page, she was the guest on the show that day. She was sitting in. It was a story about a guy named Zach, and Zach became the homecoming queen. And it was a guy, he was a boy, and he became the homecoming queen. And I kind of had my little deal with that because, once again, females are being abused by biological males and taking away their titles, taking away their privileges, taking away their opportunities, taking away their awards and their rewards, and just doing things in the name of femininity that isn't feminine at all. And so I had some things to say about old Zach, and this was my prognostication. Play the clip. God in heaven, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. Yeah. It does. The homecoming queen is Zachary. Look, I don't care if your kid wears Fruit of the Looms or Victoria's Secret. I don't care. But stop peddling this stuff out there and saying it's normal. It's not normal. And then you say, well, what difference does it make to you? It makes a lot of difference because I know the end result. I know the end result. I know where this type of trail leads. I know the conclusion. And you're not going to like it when you get there. So that's why I'm going to keep barking and bitching and being a toxic man and saying how wrong this stuff is, because that type of dysphoria leads to things like suicide. Oh, well, first of all, you have to get past my fat Kenny Chesney face right there, the big double chin right there. I've gone through many phases with you guys over the years. But I was ranting and raving, and the thing I was talking about is I know how this ends. You keep peddling this stuff out there in the name of ideology, and it has disastrous results. Well, I wasn't exactly predicting this particular result, but I want you to now revisit Zachary, who was the homecoming queen, and let's get an update of what's going on in his life. Play the clip.
It's Friday, February 17th. I'm 19 years old, and yesterday I found out that I got diagnosed with HIV. I'm not posting this until I feel completely ready because, honestly, I'm worried about people looking at me as untouchable, but people keep giving me hugs. It's really sweet. I just feel, honestly, so gross. I wish I could take, like, a big needle and drain all the blood out of my body. Now people keep telling me that I'm gonna get through this. This honestly feels like the end of the world to me. All I can think about is how this disease is forever, and I'm never gonna be able to get rid of it. I just feel drained emotionally, physically, everything. I was told people with HIV can live up to 70, but I don't even want to live past 20. You might be wondering why I haven't cried this video, and it's because it's inevitable. I cried for 12 hours straight, and it's not going to change anything. I told everyone I flew back to Missouri to mourn the death of my cat, but I just need to be with friends and family right now. HIV positive.
So this is a sad story. I didn't want to be right about this. I don't want to talk about tragic results happening to a kid, regardless of what narrative or agenda was being pushed at the time. There were a lot of people at fault in that scenario of naming him homecoming queen. But now, just a couple of years later, well, Zach finds out that he's HIV positive. We don't want that or wish that on anybody. That's a sad, sad diagnosis. And if you heard what he said, you know, people with HIV positive, they can live past 70. I don't want to live past 20. This is heartbreaking in that it is, you embraced something, and you were actually encouraged to embrace something, a lifestyle that here's what happened. Here's what happened. You becoming transgender or trying to do this, that's not why you got HIV. You were engaged in some activities that led to an HIV positive diagnosis. But what you were told is you can do anything you want to do and get away with it. And you can't. So you want to be a girl, whatever, you can be a girl. You want to be all these things. You want to engage in this practice. At some point in time, there are consequences to that. And that's true for anyone. Anyone. I don't care if you're gay, straight, bi, trans. I don't care. You get engaged in dangerous activity, and you're told that anything goes. We live in an anything satisfy me society. There's dangerous repercussions to that. We've got another clip of Zach, and I want you to watch this. Play it.
It is day 11 of living with HIV, and today I wanted to pay tribute to all the activists of the past who have made it possible for me to be alive today. First up, a big thank you to Anthony Fauci, who's been the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases since 1984 and who's overseen extensive research regarding HIV and AIDS. Next up, a big thank you to Calivia Carter, a black lesbian activist who in the 1980s gathered women to spread awareness for HIV at a time when no one else wanted to be associated with it. Thank you to Geeta Ramji, who in the late 1990s and early 2000s was a leading female activist who instituted a ton of drug tests and HIV research to make sure that specifically women did not get infected with this disease. Not to mention the cultural significance that she had as she brought that research to Eastern and Southern Africa, a place where the AIDS epidemic was basically overlooked. Lastly, thank you to Liam Winslet, who is a transgender activist who focused her efforts in lower income housing along with sex workers where it was harder to get the medication and social work that they needed.
Obviously, this kid hasn't gotten the memo yet on how pushing ideologies can be dangerous. He's still doing it. I mean, a kid probably is unaware that Anthony Fauci literally killed a generation in Africa by pushing HIV and even AIDS on a population. So it's a sad story, but I will tell you that be not deceived. Whatsoever you sow, that shall you also reap. And you will have those consequences. You put, corn out there in the field, and you will grow corn. You sow destruction, you'll reap destruction. You get the point of where I'm going. That's a sad story. I hate being right, but I was right. And so people say, "Oh, Chad, So let's talk about some other things that I'm right about." And we're not going to play clips or anything like that or show you examples. We could do this. But when I say things like anything from being a woke company is going to make you go bankrupt and you're going to lose all your customers to saying that you need to get your kids out of public school. And people push back on that. Oh, how you gotta quit saying that. I'm sick of you saying that. I know you're sick of me saying it. I'm sick of saying it. But I'm also sick of reading and hearing these stories. One of which we'll tell you later on in the program. All of these things that, the undermining the dominant paradigm, trying to subvert the dominant paradigm. We talk about that where, traditions and values and age-old concepts, things that have been tried and true as long as people have been walking the planet. There's a reason why we have survived as a species as long as we have, in spite of our best efforts to kill ourselves.